What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here with Adam, Dylan, and Kev. We are here for your Super Bowl 51 preview and predictions. All of us are going to preview the game. We're going to go through the key matchups of the game. We're going to give you the score, the MVP, who we think is going to have a big game, the standout performers, all that sort of stuff. Maybe even a little bit of a discussion about Lady Gaga. We'll see what happens here. But we're going to go over basically kind of a more in-depth preview than we usually do throughout the season, because usually it's been me and Dylan who do the previews throughout the regular season. Kev's been in here for the playoffs, and now we're adding Adam for the Super Bowl. So we're just getting bigger and bigger on here. So usually we just do like a short preview of the game, but we really want to get in depth because, of course, this is the biggest game of the year. But first off, before we get in depth, do you guys have any initial thoughts on the Super Bowl? Do you think it will be an exciting one? Are you looking forward to it? Do you think there is the right amount of hype for it? Do you think there's even hype at all? Or do you think this is kind of underwhelming?
There's been a supreme lack of coverage for the Super Bowl leading up to this. Like, I understand it's Atlanta, and you could have had the matchup with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and whatnot, but there has been no talk of this Super Bowl coming into Sunday. Like, I've heard basically nothing. I've heard one thing about Tom Brady that had nothing to do with the game. So that's kind of underwhelming. However, I'm expecting a good game with two high-scoring offenses and one pretty decent defense and one that's really crappy. So it's going to come down to which offense can score more points. And I think it's going to be a fun Super Bowl with two supremely good quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think it's been underwhelming, the press, but I think it's going to be one of the better Super Bowls. Obviously, it's easy to say that now before the game starts. But as we get closer to this game, I think the story has been a lot, especially with Patriots fans. They really want to win that trophy against Goodell, and there hasn't really been a lot of talk about Atlanta. But you're always going to have the favorite team. Patriots chasing destiny for the title, but I think it's going to be an instant classic. I think it's going to be one of those ones that's going to come down to a late field goal, late touchdown, maybe a defensive interception touchdown, something that changes the game in that one. But I think it's going to be an instant classic, and I just can't wait.
I think, Kev, before you go, I think part of the thing that Adam said was a little bit interesting to me. You said that Atlanta isn't getting a lot of respect. I don't think it's that they're not getting a lot of respect. I think a lot of people are actually not only giving them respect, but saying they'll actually win the game. But I think that there's just the Atlanta fan base is kind of, I don't know, they're underwhelming to me. I'm a Patriots fan, Falcons fans, I'm calling you out. I see you on the channel. I see you commenting about your all-time great offense. Where you at? I don't hear any hype from Atlanta, man. You guys need to pick it up. These Patriots fans, we know what it's like to be at the Super Bowl. Maybe we're a little bit lax because we've been there before and we've done that. But, you know, we're still excited. We're excited to get this trophy. Why aren't you guys? I just see a lack of enthusiasm from the Atlanta crowd. I think it might just be me.
And maybe from, like, to your point, maybe the Patriots fans are thinking more about Goodell because they have no one else to banter back and forth with. You know what I mean? Because you're right. The Atlanta fans haven't been as outspoken as Pats fans and the Pats fan base. And I think it's easier for them to talk about winning and going after Goodell than it is talking about how they're going to beat down on the Falcons, because there isn't really a large side of the Falcons.
Because as Patriots fans, we don't have anybody to talk. We'll smack talk, but nobody's going to respond. So how do you smack talk? We'll just smack talk Goodell. Good point. Kev, what do you got to say?
Well, I think there's a couple of things playing into this. I think the current conversation has worldwide conversation hasn't been on football, which I think is playing a little bit of a part in this. I think also I'll talk about this from a Seahawks fan perspective. And I'm going to talk about Media Day and the press conferences and stuff. Media Day was on Monday night, not Tuesday afternoon, typically, when they typically have it. So that, I think, the way that they've scheduled things, I think, has played a lot into why there hasn't been a lot of hype. We haven't heard that We didn't get that quote. Both of these teams were very quiet. We didn't get the "I'm here just so I don't get fined" comment. So the Super Bowl media day was rather uneventful, except one person not saying something was probably the most memorable event. And I think even the press conference the Goodell press conference is typically on Friday. It was today. So there's a lot of things that how we build the Super Bowl. Today is typically the first day that we start talking about the Super Bowl. And a lot of that stuff has been left out. So I think the current news climate is playing a part of it, but I think the way that the thing has been scheduled has been playing a part of it too. And I think the Falcons fans are going to show up. It's just we're just kind of slowly getting into it. Not that I'm a Falcons fan, but I think people are just slowly starting to take an interest into the game. It's not Sunday yet, so I think people are like, I'm not that worried. There has been some other news. Well, there is some other news. The biggest news I've heard about the Super Bowl isn't been about the game itself, and it wasn't even about Media Day. Dylan may not be aware of this, but Mitch and Adam might be. In Canada, we are actually, for the first time ever, going to get the American commercials.
Oh, from Canada, yes. I guess that's news from Canada. From a worldwide perspective, I don't know.
I was like,
I think I wanted to touch on how you said that we haven't been getting the quote. And I think it's because both of these organizations are, they're run well. And I think both of them kind of have this system in place where they're not very outspoken. They're going to stay in their place. They don't want to give the other team motivation. I've heard and seen a little bit from like guys like Devontae Freeman where they're like, our offense is unstoppable. Nobody can stop us. That sort of stuff. But that's not like Marshawn Lynch or anything like that. Like they're not putting attention on themselves by saying anything like that. So I think both of these teams have done a good job of how they've just been run. And I think that's also credit to Atlanta on the way that they've changed their franchise.
That's true.
And just quickly on the Canadian commercials, I think commercials are great, but it's something you just kind of watch on YouTube, because commercials for me is when you go grab a new beer or you relieve yourself of the old beer in the washroom.
Yeah, I know.
Commercial breaks.
Yeah, that's been the biggest story so far. But again, as we're recording this, it's Wednesday. So I think as this gets through, we're going to get a little bit more hype as we go on.
All right, Kev, let's start the hype. Let's get into the game. Let's talk about the matchups. Let's talk about the offense and defense. Let's talk about the Patriots offense versus the Falcons defense. First, we'll save the juicy matchup for last. Patriots offense, we're going to go through the stats here. I have all the stats possibly imaginable. Patriots, fourth in yards versus the Falcons, who are 25th in yards. Patriots passing game, fourth, and Falcons passing defense, 28th. Patriots rushing offense, 7th, and Falcons rushing defense, 17th. Patriots in points, 3rd, and Falcons in points, 27th. The Patriots on third down are 4th, and the Falcons defense on third down is 26th. And this might be the key to the game. The Patriots in the red zone are 9th, and the Falcons defense is 32nd.
Jesus Christ.
That's pretty bad.
Yes, it is. It's last. If you guys don't know how many teams are in the NFL. So, guys, let's just start. We'll start with Adam. Maybe each person give a key matchup in this game on the Patriots offense versus the Falcons defense that you think could be a huge dictator. We're going to start with Adam. We'll go across.
I have a couple of historical stats, which I'll save because I know we're going to get into that. My biggest matchup is going to be the Atlanta defensive line versus the Patriots offensive line. You've seen that Falcons defense line get a lot of pressure during the regular season. The Patriots offense is almost built in keeping Brady on his feet. He can get rid of the ball so quick, and opposed to guys like Atlanta's seen before, Rodgers likes to get out of the pocket. Brady likes to step up into the pocket, doesn't really like going outside the pocket. So it'd be interesting to see what type of game plan Atlanta has for that defensive line if they're going to try to force him to go outside the pocket a bit more and rush him. I think that's a huge matchup. And then another one, if you're looking at the Patriots, it's going to be Edelman in the slot, because I don't think the Falcons have a guy cover Edelman, and Edelman's going to be huge on third down. I know you, Mitch, you mentioned the red zone. I think third down is going to be Obviously, it's always big, but the way the Patriots play on third down, they're almost unstoppable when they're on point, and Edelman's a big reason why. So I'll go with the D-line of Atlanta being a big matchup, and then also the slot receiver in Edelman.
I just want to touch on the offensive line, defensive line before we get to the other guys' points. I think the biggest thing with the Patriots, as a Patriots fan, where I've noticed their biggest weakness is when teams can rush from the interior of the defensive line. And I think that the Falcons, not saying that they won't be able to do this, but I think the Falcons specifically, when they've been able to rush the passer, it's been from rather blitzes from the corners, as we saw against Aaron Rodgers, or Vic Beasley and Dwight Freeney off the edge, where the Patriots are better at pass blocking. So that's going to be a huge thing. Can Cannon and Solder hold up on the edge? But I think if the Falcons are going to have success, those D tackles are going to have to get after Brady from the interior, and that's going to be a huge matchup as well. Also, I would like to say in the run game, because not a lot of people talk about this, but the Patriots' offensive line physically is a lot bigger and stronger than Atlanta. Atlanta is built on speed, so it's going to be interesting to see how they can get off their blocks and if the Patriots can maul them down the field with LeGarrette Blount. But I think that it's very compelling, even though there's not many big names on both of those lines. Dylan, what's your matchup?
I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to go with the cornerback play of the Falcons versus the receivers of the Patriots. We know how explosive some of these receivers in New England can be. Julian Edelman, of course, always great. And you talked about the matchup he's going to have, Adam, with the defense. And, of course, Chris Hogan, we saw how explosive he was 2 weeks ago. And they can go deep. They can make big plays, and it could be up to one or two really deep plays to change this game up. So for Collins, for Alford, they're going to have to make big plays and step up and put more pressure on somebody like Edelman or Hogan. So I'm going to go with the cornerback/safety help versus the receivers.
I'm going to take this a little bit differently, and I'm going to go back to a specific review that Mitch and I did back 2 years ago when the Patriots faced the Seahawks.
That's coming out soon, by the way.
Yes. The Patriots coach, offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels versus Falcons head coach Dan Quinn. They've both been here before. The Seahawks had a 10-point lead on the Falcons, and the Patriots found a way to break through that complex, not complex, but yet very tough defense. So I think that play calling is going to be a huge part of this, specifically third down, specifically how the Patriots use the running game, which time of possession I think is going to be a key aspect of this game. So if we're going to go, I think even two X factors, LeGarrette Blount, I think will be an X factor for the Patriots. Grady Jarrett up front will be an X factor for Patriots. I kind of think the running game for the Patriots will be key if they're able to do that. But it's going to be the keys in this one, as much as it is the players, the intrigue around this is the coaching on both sides, I think is the most interesting aspect of this matchup. And maybe why you're not getting that flair, because this is a very strategic Super Bowl in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think it might not be so compelling from a casual standpoint, but if you're a hardcore football fan, you really know how good these coaches are. You have Belichick versus Shanahan, McDaniels versus Quinn. I think it's a very interesting Super Bowl. Going back to Dylan's receivers versus corners, I think it's going to be interesting to see what Atlanta does, because they do play mostly zone, but they try and mix in some man, and it's going to be interesting because, like I always say, the Patriots kind of struggle more when you're able to lock them down with man coverage, because they have so many plays and so many concepts, especially to beat that Seahawks defense model now, and that Seahawks defense was first in almost every category. So it's going to be interesting to see how Atlanta does. So for Kev's matchup, Blount, I think, will be a key. I think both run games going over to Atlanta will be a key, and we'll talk about Atlanta on the other side versus the Patriots defense. But whatever run game can be more consistent and allow that team to establish just a more open playbook with play action plays and what Dylan said, plays down the field. Especially the Patriots, they love to run the ball with Blount and then hit big play action plays. So it's going to be interesting. Actually, we talked about that with the Carolina Panthers Patriots Super Bowl. And it was there was a lot of play action down. Not that both defenses really have any comparison at all, but it's just how the Patriots offense has been run throughout the years. And also going back, I think mine is going to be, because you guys have already said offensive line versus defensive line, the receivers, the coaches. I think the one I have to throw in there is going to be the running backs for the Patriots versus this zone coverage, and also versus Jones, who is the middle linebacker for the Atlanta Falcons. He's going to be not only versus the running backs, but versus the receivers, Edelman, Hogan, Amendola, Mitchell, all these crossing routes and all these different concepts that the Patriots do. He's going to be moving around like crazy. He's going to have to cover White and Lewis out of the backfield. And that's going to be a big matchup because we saw Shane Vereen had a huge day against the Seahawks that first Super Bowl against Dan Quinn. So will they try and do the same thing with a James White or Dion Lewis? That's a big matchup to watch out for as well.
And then just to add one thing about Dan Quinn, it'd be interesting to see how much Atlanta does want to blitz. And if they do blitz, are they blitzing with man coverage or are they blitzing with zone? Because Tom Brady's shown time and time again, if you blitz him, he'll make you pay. So I'd be interesting to see how that goes. And if it works early, it kind of changes the dynamic of the game, because we're used to seeing teams try to blitz Brady and right out of the gate, Brady's just, replaced.
You might catch him with one. You might catch him with one or two, but eventually he's going to hit you with the big play, right? And the thing is, like, that's a good point, because I actually didn't even think about this. We were talking about offensive line, defensive lines, but is Atlanta going to be able to rush 4 and get to Brady? Because if they can rush 4 and get to Brady, then that's great. Like, even the Seahawks with that great defense, they were kind of inconsistent at getting after Brady. Earlier on, they were kind of okay, but when the game wore on, they kind of got exhausted because of all the different plays the Patriots run and their long drives. So it'll be interesting to see if Atlanta can get after them with 4. Then they won't have to blitz and send extra guys, so they can put more guys in coverage.
Another key factor in this game will be Dwight, for the Falcons defense, will be Dwight Freeney. This Falcons defense is a very young defense, number of rookies. They will be the ones that will be more fired up than anyone else. Freeney will need to calm them down, and I think he's going to be a key matchup. Probably, I think if it's not Jones against Bennett, they might find a way to get Freeney on Bennett. And how he plays is going to be very important in this game, and how he stabilizes that defense is going to be very important in this game.
So leadership in general from Atlanta's defense standpoint.
Yeah.
Any other points to add for this side of the ball, guys, until we go to the other side?
Just for the Patriots, I think you got to be wary of Dion Lewis and James White, because obviously Patriots won 2 weeks ago, but they weren't the factor. And if you look at how they've won games this season, White and Lewis out of the backfield catching the ball has been a huge key for them. So it'd be interesting to see. In the playoffs, they haven't really had those flashy plays, but they're still very good, and there's something you still always have to watch out for.
I think going back to Kev's point about leadership, I think one of the biggest things, because of the style of defense that Atlanta likes to play, they kind of sit back. They kind of let you drive the length of the field. And it's going to be interesting to see if the Patriots are moving the ball with consistency, which I think they will they lose their temper, or will they, remain calm? Will they be like, okay, this is our game plan. We're going to make them go down the field. We're going to make the tackles. We're going to stop them in the red zone. We're going to do this. But if because of their young nature, because they're young, will those 5-yard swing passes to James White start pissing them off, and will they take a chance? So that's going to be big as well.
Well, I think that one of the things that I think is going to be key is who scores first, and specifically a touchdown first, not necessarily a field goal. I think a field goal is a minor thing, but the touchdown first, I think is going to. If the Patriots score first, I think it's going to put more pressure on the Falcons' offense to perform. Whereas if the Falcons score first, I think that the Falcons' defense can play a little bit more their game.
Yes.
The Falcons' game plan is dictated by that offense. And the question I would have for the Patriots' offense going in is, we haven't seen the absence of Gronk, but this may be the game that the absence of Gronk is a factor. And I'm going to be interested to see if they miss Gronk at this point in time, because this would be the game to ask that question. We weren't worried. We weren't worried about him up until this point, but this would be the question now. Now is the time to ask about that question.
Yeah, we have no reason to worry because they haven't lost a game without Gronk this season. But if they do, it might be the Super Bowl. Let's go over to the other side of the ball. The Falcons offense versus the Patriots defense. The stats indicate that this is a pretty even matchup, actually. Now, the Falcons do have the best offense in the NFL. I don't think that's really a debate. But the Patriots defense could argue that statistically it might be the best as well. It's up there. Falcons offense, second in yards. Patriots, 8th. Falcons offense, 3rd in passing yards, that is. Patriots, 12th in passing. Falcons, 5th in rushing. Patriots, 3rd in rushing. Falcons, 1st in points. Patriots, 1st in points. Falcons, 11th on 3rd down. And Patriots, 7th on 3rd down. Falcons, 10th in the red zone. And Patriots, 7th in the red zone. So immediately, that has me thinking for my quick matchup of the game, not necessarily a matchup, but it's a situation, 2 situations. And the bottom ones I just listed, 11th on 3rd down for the Falcons, 7th on 3rd down for the Patriots, 11th or 10th in the red zone for the Falcons, 7th in the red zone for the Patriots. If I'm thinking the way the game is going to play out, I think the Patriots offense will be able to score points. Can the Patriots defense play well on 3rd down and play well in the red zone? Those are going to be the 2 biggest things for the Patriots defense. Can they make the occasional stop? Because this offense is very good and they can move the ball basically against any defense. So can they make those big stops at key times to give Brady back the ball? That is the number 1 thing for me on the Patriots defense.
All right. What I'm going to go for, I got 2 matchups here. One is the running backs versus the D-line / linebacker combo. Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman, they averaged for 170 yards from scrimmage in 2016. So the thing here is that they're going to have to stop this running duo. At one point, Devontae Freeman can be hot, and the next Tevin Coleman can go out. They're both very good, Tevin Coleman especially is a really good receiving running back. So they're going to have to figure out how to manage him. And then on top of that, Julio Jones he said he's likely going to play in every formation. He'll go to the left side, he'll go to the right side, slot, wherever he needs to be. He'll try to mix up key situations. However, the Patriots defense last time this happened with Antonio Brown, he was moving quite a bit, and they stopped him about as good as you can do on Antonio Brown. So it'll be interesting to see if they're going to be able to do it again, or if Julio Jones is able to figure out some kind of combination to mess with the Patriots. He finds this quarterback matchup that he really likes. So to me, those are the 2 biggest matchups on the defense. And also experience versus inexperience. Is the experience of the Patriots going to come into play in this one? Is Dan Quinn going to be able to make the right plays necessary for this offense to work? So those are my keys.
Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, okay. Well, I totally agree with Dylan. I think if you're looking at Belichick, the thing is, what everyone always says is he takes away your best option. So I think the debate right now is I don't think he can take away both the running backs and Julio. It's very possible. But what does he choose to do? Because I almost think you almost have to take away those running backs before you take away Julio Jones. Julio Jones is not the best player on the field. That's going to be Tom Brady. But Julio Jones is the best athlete on the field on both sides, both teams. Tom Brady's best player, Julio Jones. So I think you have to take away those running backs because I think they are very good. They can run the ball. They can catch out of the backfield. Going back to the O-line, I think Atlanta has a very good O-line. New England's gotten pressure with their D-line this season, but still on paper, I'm not fully behind them. I know statistics will tell me otherwise, but I think that's going to be a big matchup. But at the end of the day, too, Malcolm Butler did very well against Antonio Brown. The whole defense did. But I think Julio Jones is such a different type of receiver. That speed of Brown, but he's bigger and stronger, which I think for jump ball situations, depending on how Butler plays it, I think it's going to be a huge matchup for Butler. And kudos to him if he can shut Julio Jones down. I don't think he can play one-on-one. You're going to have the safety over top. And then look for the other receivers in Sanu and Gabriel to have some chances because I really think, I've told you this before, Eric Rowe the other corner for the Patriots, I actually think Logan Ryan's a better player, but Eric Rowe has proven, especially with the Eagles, he had some decent plays this year.
Well, Logan Ryan is the second corner. He just plays in the slot.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm saying outside Sanu versus Rowe, if that's the matchup, I think that's going to be very telling to see how the game plays out because Rowe did get beat deep. And I think Sanu is a better player than Sammy Coates, Hayward Bay, who he's going against last week. I think that's going to be a huge matchup. So that's what I'm taking as my matchup. The third receiver, and also I'll throw in whatever Belichick tries to stop. If it's the running backs, if it's Jones, whoever, it's going to be awesome to see. But
I want to talk about that real quick because all week I've been thinking everybody thinks the Patriots are going to want to stop Julio Jones. But I think they're going to try and stop the running backs. To me, the number one fear as a fan of the Patriots is the running backs of the Falcons. I think the thing with me right now is I have supreme trust in the Patriots rushing defense. They have proven to me over the past 25 games that they won't allow a guy to burst off and have a great game running the ball. So I think a big thing is going to be, can the Patriots dictate Atlanta's offense? Can they dictate them towards passing all game long? Because, if they can shut down Atlanta's run game, then at least you can just start to worry about, okay, the running backs are going to start trying to catch passes now. And they're gonna go to Julio and Gabriel and Sanu in the passing game. But if you can limit those carries to 2 yards, 3 yards, so if the Patriots can stay in maybe that like nickel like defense with Branch and Brown in the middle and kind of control that front, which they've been very good at, I think it's going to be a pro for the Patriots. Even if the Falcons continue to move the ball, I think it's just going to be, you take one dimension of their offensive way, which is their running game. And if their running game is successful, I think the Patriots will be kind of in trouble because then they'll have to deal with, like I say on the Patriots side, the play action and all the plays that Kyle Shanahan can do with all his trickery and all that stuff. So, I think the number one thing is stopping the run and stopping the running backs. I think for the matchups, we'll see Patrick Chung versus one of the running backs. Most times when I watch the Falcons, they only put one of the running backs like split out wide or they have them out of the backfield. They don't usually have two of them. So it's going to be interesting to see if they put both of them or just one of them. I think Patrick Chung will be big in that role. Whoever else is, if they have two of them, then it will probably be Kyle Van Noy who gets the other, or maybe even Dante Hightower. I think, again, like Adam said, Sanu is going to be big. I'm interested to see what the Patriots do. Do they put Logan Ryan on him? Because Logan Ryan has had success outside before. Will they try and do that? Or will they have him still in the slot and try and take away Gabriel? Or what will they do? Will they double Julio with maybe Ryan and a safety and put Butler on Sanu? I'm intrigued to see what they do on defense. Those are some of the matchups for me. I think the number one thing for the Patriots defense is to take away the running backs.
For me, this matchup is, there's all the players we can talk about. Let me just before I get to my matchup, let me counteract something. Tonio 10 is 5'10", 180. Julio Jones, 6'3", 220, and moves like Antonio Brown. So you're dealing with a bit of a different.
I will say this though, he's not as agile as Antonio Brown is.
No,
he's fast. He's as fast as him.
He's fast and he's got some acceleration and he can make some plays. I think he's going to be the most unique receiver that the Patriots have faced this year and probably in recent Super Bowls. He's an intriguing matchup. But my matchup is Kyle Shanahan versus Matt Patricia, because I think the one that wins this matchup probably wins the game. I think that for me, I think the Falcons need to make sure that Julio Jones is involved in the game early. I actually don't think that they're going to be able to run the football. I think the Patriots will be able to stop that. I think that the Patriots secondary, though, is very underrated. And I think that they will find I think the Falcons will want to get Julio Jones heavily involved, but I think that the Patriots will will be willing to let a Sanu and a Gabriel try to defeat them because they're confident enough to stop them. That back, and I think quietly the linebackers and McCourty and Patrick Chung, which we haven't mentioned yet, are going to be the key things. And I think how the Falcons start is going to be very important. I think the Falcons not only need to score first, I think they need to score in the first quarter. I think the longer that this game is a low-scoring game goes into the Patriots' favor, because I think the Patriots are the ones that can be very patient. The Falcons have been known to get off to fast starts. They're going to get converted on third downs. If those things don't happen, I think that this Falcons team's experience is going to be a factor in terms of frustration, where I think the Patriots can be a lot more patient with their game.
Yeah, I think one of the bigger matchups I didn't really bring up, I sort of did, but like in terms of like one-on-one matchups, I think a key is to watch the interior like guys of the Patriots. Like, is Branch, is Brown getting in are they getting off blocks easy? Or are what Atlanta really likes to do, they like to run like zone runs to the outside. Are they able to move fast enough to get outside and get past those guards? Because again, like the Patriots offensive line, the Patriots are bigger than Atlanta. Atlanta is based on speed. So the speed versus strength sort of thing is going to be intriguing on both of the lines.
And just to add, everyone says defense wins championship, and which they do. I got some stats when we get into the numbers stuff. But this actually, going through this whole playoffs, this could be a Super Bowl where the best O-line wins championships. You know what I mean? Like, who can protect their quarterback? Can Ryan get time and throw? Can Brady get time and throw? I think that's going to be a key matchup, is in the trenches in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've talked about how underrated Andy Mack and Andrew Levitre have been for signings for the Falcons in the offseason. This, I think, will plays into what the Falcons will be able to do. But if they're not able to get off to a good start, I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Falcons respond.
Dylan, anything to comment?
I think it's going to be an interesting matchup for the Falcons offense to get started. And basically, to me, if the Falcons are able to score first, I think that's going to be key for them. They obviously want to get on the roll, make the pressure go on to the Patriots side, have them score. Because, we know how good their offense can be, but if you already have them down 7-0, you can put a little bit of pressure on them and make them go in and reel in. I think, again, like I said, experience is going to be key. Of course, this is an Atlanta team that hasn't been to the Super Bowl. And the Patriots, how many players they've had so many times go to and make this situation work for them. Tom Brady has almost played a half a season worth of Super Bowls, which is crazy. So the fact that he knows the pressure, he knows the situation, get them reeling a little bit, put on a little bit of a lead, have more comfort for your area.
I also want to bring up that the Patriots quickly, Adam, they did something different than they usually do against the Steelers. They received. And they went down and they scored a field goal. They could have scored a touchdown, but Malcolm Mitchell dropped the ball. So they ended up kicking a field goal. But it's going to be interesting to see if they receive again, because usually they defer. They take the ball at half because they like the double score. That's been infamous from the Patriots. Brady before the half, Brady after the half. But will they receive and try and get the lead like you guys have been talking about? Adam.
And this is kind of what Kevin said about if it's a low scoring. I just want to know what you guys think, because if it is low scoring, the Patriots are the number one defense against the number one offense scoring-wise. So, that you could say that's kind of a wash. But if Atlanta's defense is holding Brady in that offense to low points, I think that might be a win for Atlanta if they go in, like if it's 10-7 at the half and they're down. You know what I mean? Like, this Atlanta defense is 27th in the league in scoring. So if it is a low-scoring game, that means Atlanta's doing something right on the defensive side, and they know they have the offense. I think that might give Atlanta a boost if it is a close game and not very high scoring in the first half, because like I said, 27th ranked you're not supposed to do well against the third highest scoring defense if you're 27. So if you can hold Brady and that offense to, maybe 10 points in the first half, I think you're happy if you're Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Like, I can't see how this game is going to be that low scoring. Like, I could see maybe the Patriots defense maybe getting like a couple stops here and there. But the Atlanta defense consistently stopping the Patriots, I don't really see it happening. It could happen, maybe a turnover or two or lucky plays here and there. Or maybe I'm totally underestimating the Falcons defense. But that's just the way I see it. I think another thing we didn't really bring up, I just said it, turnovers. I mean, Falcons, especially Atlanta, because they play with momentum. You know, they're that young team that plays with momentum. If they can get, you know, a strip sack from Beasley or an interception, a tip pass, something like that. And if the Patriots can get it, then I mean, you're just basically
you're taking a
giving
win
the ball back to Brady.
You're taking a win right now,
Yeah,
because
but
they haven't had a turnover in 8 games for the Atlanta offense. So you're getting a win right there.
Yeah, and see that's the thing is I mean turnovers are always a key factor. In every game,
Obviously, yeah.
But I think to me the Falcons defense needs to get the turnover more than the Patriots defense, just simply because of the confidence and the experience and the swagger things and the intangibles. I think the Patriots can let the Falcons get to the 20 or the 30 and keep them out of the end zone. I think for the Falcons defense, I think that's an interesting question if they can or not. And I think that's going to, I think especially if it's low scoring, if it's it can gain the Falcons confidence, but I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how the Patriots or how the Falcons offense responds if this is a low scoring game.
Okay.
It's almost okay. I'll leave that part out. There is one. Are we talking? Well, I think there's a couple of other things that I think are going to be key factors in here, but I'll let you handle.
Okay, we're gonna go into our facts and other game notes section. I have 15 facts. I might have some of your facts. It's 51 reverse, guys. Figured that out. So here we go. Let's start off with number 1 and number 2, which is pretty obvious. Brady can become the second oldest quarterback to win a Super Bowl and become the only quarterback to win 5. Brady can snag the record for the fourth Super Bowl MVP, which would be the most of all time. Next, Dan Quinn has coached in 3 of the past 4 Super Bowls. There you go, Kev. 11 of the past 12 Super Bowl winners have worn white. Patriots are wearing white in this game, and the Patriots are 8-0 this season wearing white. The only team to win wearing the opposite color was the Green Bay Packers versus the Pittsburgh Steelers with Aaron Rodgers. Brady is 4-0 versus Atlanta in his career, and Ryan is 0-2 versus New England. In 5 career playoff starts, Julio Jones has averaged 110 yards and a touchdown per game. The most represented college is, can you guys guess? It's a tie.
I know the answer to this question. Rutgers
and Bama are tied with 5 players each. Rutgers mostly because of the Patriots, but I think Sanu is also from Rutgers. Yeah. And the Browns also have 5 former players in this game.
Congratulations!
Yeah, there we
Way
go.
to go, Cleveland!
John Lewis
And their future quarterback on the team too.
Since 2010, coaches are 3-12 or 3-22 in their first career game against Bill Belichick. Since 2010, Dan Quinn's first career head coach game against Bill Belichick. Since their Week 11 bye, the Falcons have allowed 20.5 points per game. Before it was 28.5. 14% of all Super Bowls have been with Brady or Belichick. The Patriots are 16-0 with Dion Lewis in the lineup. The number 1 scoring defense has beat the number 1 scoring offense 4 out of 5 times. The only time that it has actually happened the reverse was, I think it was the 89 49ers, which is arguably the best team of all time. The MVP hasn't won the Super Bowl since Kurt Warner in 1999. The Patriots are 19-1 in the playoffs since 2001 when scoring 21-plus points. So that only game was in 2006 against the Colts, where they lost 38-34. Tom Brady did not face a team with a bottom 10 pass defense in the NFL this season. The Falcons ranked 28th. The Patriots haven't allowed a 90-yard rusher in 25 games. Those are my 15 facts for Super Bowl 51. Any of those stick out to you guys?
It's interesting. I know the white jersey thing's quite interesting. It's kind of weird that 11 of the last 12 have won with the white
And
jersey.
I believe that Atlanta picked first, and they
Atlanta. But you got to pick your color. You know, that stuff's out the door. But yeah, I told you, Mitch. I think I messaged you on Twitter. I'm like, man, I'm not feeling confident.
You did.
In my Atlanta pick, man. They should have just picked white. You know. It's the jersey color. We got to go white.
Bro, it's
But
always
you gotta go.
Isn't it always flipped though? Because it's the NFC one year.
No, yeah, it changes, but NFC this year. So Atlanta chose red jerseys, which I don't hate on them for doing that.
It's the Falcons. They have gotten to the Super Bowl one time. I think they should wear the blue or the red jerseys.
Yeah,
I find that I find a couple of those things interesting, and it's going to be a lot of key, interesting little tidbits are going to be part of this game for sure. So keep it in the back of your head.
The reality is we have two MVP candidates in this game.
Mhm.
Matt Ryan probably will win the MVP. And I think we're talking about legacy versus potential legacy here. I think that's the other storyline. We've got Tom Brady, who has the opportunity to officially cement himself as the greatest quarterback of all time. Bill Belichick to likely officially cement himself as the greatest head coach of all time here. We also have Matt Ryan, who has the ability to put himself into the elite of the elite categories of quarterbacks.
Let's ask that question, Kev. Where would you put Matt Ryan from a historical standpoint next to guys maybe of like, let's say, Tony Romo, Cam Newton, Big Ben, Eli, Phillip Rivers, those sort of guys? Where would you put him on that list?
I think Matt is better than all of them.
yeah.
But the problem is Matt hasn't won the Super Bowl.
I don't think he's better than Ben.
He is better than all of them except Big Ben.
I think with what Ben had,
I think he's better than Ben.
From a historical standpoint, I think Ben is better. But
yeah, as of right now. But I think
Where's
what
the
we've
Super Bowl?
seen, there are quarterbacks. So the stats I had was first. I actually had to crunch some numbers with. I had to do some math, Wikipedia math. Okay, so
Wiki math.
in the history in 51 Super Bowls, there's only been 3 scoring defenses ranked above 20 to win the Super Bowl, and 3 of them have come in the last 10 years. Okay, the Colts in 2006 were ranked 23rd defensive scoring, second, and then the Saints, which I'll get back to those.
yeah,
First, and then the Giants had the 25th rank, and their offense was just 9th in 2011. So if Atlanta wins, they'll have the worst scoring season defense to ever win a Super Bowl. But I want to get back to the 2009 and 2006 Colts.
I actually want to point out something, though. I want to point out that the Colts in 2006, their defense carried their team.
But I'm saying scoring, but they still have the second best offense. And
also,
that Super Bowl,
yeah, go ahead.
Peyton Manning, check this. Peyton Manning in that was his first Super Bowl. How old was he? 30 years old. And then if you look at the Saints, which I actually think this team is most comparable, the Atlanta team is most comparable, that 2010 Super Bowl Saints, because their defense ranked 20. Obviously, they had some more playmakers, but still 20 during the season. Number 1 offense. Drew Brees, his first Super Bowl. How old was he? 31? Can you guys tell me the age of Matt Ryan in his first Super Bowl?
31.
31.
There you go.
I like the comparison of Matt Ryan to Drew Brees. I mean, okay, I'll give you Ben in terms of historic. Ben's probably better than Ryan, but I think right now Matt's a better quarterback than Ben.
I'll say this, though, to Adam's point. I think Atlanta's defense is the worst out of all those defenses.
And if they do win this Super Bowl, they'll go down as the worst scoring defense. But going back, I forgot to mention this. I do think Atlanta's defense is, when you have an offense like that, it is a bend, don't break type thing. Obviously, they were winning a lot of games, and they had to just play with the lead.
But even from like a talent or playing standpoint, nobody's going to say that Giants defense was bad. Nobody's going to say that the Saints defense even was bad. I mean, they forced a ton of turnovers that season.
They forced turnovers, but then a big thing is, what could we see? Obviously, I'm not looking forward to this, looking forward into this Super Bowl, but Tracy Porter, that pick down in the second half, Tracy Porter was not a good player, and all of a sudden he makes a big interception at the right time. That's what I think Atlanta's going to need, and we obviously mentioned that.
He made it in the NFC Championship as well, actually.
Yeah, well, there you go.
There's quite a big play there. I mean, one play can change your career.
Oh, go ahead, Dylan, sorry.
Oh, I was also going to bring up maybe a more obvious fact, but it's a key fact. The person that's won a Super Bowl, or excuse me, the MVP, has not won the Super Bowl since 1999. So keep that in your head. If
That's an interesting stat. I always think that's really interesting, and every time I hear that Brady's up for the MVP now, I'm like, don't win.
Just do second best so somebody else can get it.
Yeah.
Just do second best so we can all win first best later.
Yes. Adam, do you have any other stats?
Well, that one, and then obviously you said the first place defense has won the Super Bowl 15 times, so 15 out of 51, around 30%. The defense that's ranked 11 plus has won it 7. Offensively, the first ranked offense during the season scoring has won 20% of the time. And get this, though, Patriots third in scoring, only teams with the third ranked offense has only won twice in 51 years.
That's kind of a random place, though. Third.
Well, hey, I just said the numbers never lie, man.
The man crunched the numbers.
Yeah, I crunched the numbers on Wikipedia, man. I had my calculator out. I actually had a Google calculator, and then I had that calculator going.
There you go.
Yeah, it's. I think there's so many other interesting storylines to talk about. We talked a little bit about the coaching. We talked about the quarterback legacy. We also have the story of Kyle Shanahan probably leaving to coach the 49ers after this game. Is that going to play into a factor here? We've got the Brady.
He lost his backpack, Kev.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I wonder who got a hold of it.
Yeah.
Bro, I think the Patriots again. They son of a bitch.
Yeah.
You know what's funny though, because I listened to the Chris Sims podcast on Bleacher Report, Adam Lefkoe, and the thing is Chris Sims is best friends with Kyle Shanahan, and he says that the guy would lose his head if it wasn't on his body. It's like he apparently he was just freaking out about his backpack being lost. He was just going nuts.
Well, I was watching PTI, and they said the guy that took it was just this old beat reporter for San Francisco Chronicle or whatever the newspaper is there, and he was the nice enough guy that he doesn't even look. He was just like, oh, whatever, because if you're a young guy and you accidentally take the bag, you're mic checking and just looking through the pages.
You take the playbook for one of the two teams in the Super Bowl. I'm gonna fucking look at it.
No, and then this guy was just such an old vet that he was just like, oh, well, I forgot. He wanted to find his backpack. He didn't care whose backpack he had.
Yeah. Yeah. What other storylines? I think of course we have the Brady Goodell storyline.
Okay,
Belichick Kraft storyline.
What would you do if you were Brady and you won the Super Bowl and you won the MVP and you were on the stage next to Goodell and you were about to shake his hand? Would you say anything to him? Would you say anything to the fans?
I'd pull a Conor McGregor. I'd grab the freaking trophy and go, fuck you. You cost me 4 games of the season, and look at what this team did. We're 14-2 in regular season play. By the way, 10-1 with me. Or excuse me, 11-1 with me in the regular season, and we beat all your teams, and so I would go off on a rant. However, it's Tom Brady. He'll probably just make a sly comment here, maybe say a little something to him.
You know what I would do? I would scream off camera and be like, "Fuck you, Goodell," while they're not looking. And then once they're looking, he'd just shake his hand and be like, "Thanks, man."
I want Aaron Andrews to get an interview with him and be like, he's the most sorry commissioner in the league. Just go off on a Richard Sherman rant.
Yeah, rebuild. You mad, bro?
The thing with that is because everyone heard what Tom Brady's dad said just to a local California news outlet, I think, on last Friday.
Yeah.
Just going off on Goodell, people are saying that's probably what Brady feels, and his dad. Obviously, Brady can't say that, but his dad was
kind of
saying what his son thought. So maybe he does think that way, but I think Brady's too much of a class act to do anything. When you win the Super Bowl and you're MVP, you know, maybe there's a little FU to Goodell, but I think at the end of the day, it's
he'll do a sly thing.
He won the Super Bowl.
Very subtle about
but
it.
That's the thing too. The one thing I have to say though, I think Goodell doesn't care one bit. The guy makes $40 million a year. He doesn't care if he has one fan base after him, 100%. I know how he's commissioned the league hasn't been the greatest. He's totally done not the best job. But at the end of the day, if you're making $40 million and you got one fan base like super pissed at you, wanting you to get fired and all that, whatever. Well, how much money has he made in the last 10 years? More than Brady.
I don't think it's just one fan base that wants Goodell fired.
No, it's literally every NFL fan ever. And by the way, the president of the United States has also called this man a stupid guy, which I find hilarious. So he gets double points for being the
stupid idiot.
Yeah, I think if this was the fifth or the fourth Super Bowl that Brady won, I could see some sort of statement. But this has such more of a historic moment for the Patriots that I think that they're going to leave. If they win, they're going to leave this in a class act and let their legacy speak for themselves. And I think also this organization has done a fantastic job of keeping out of controversy since it's been the Belichick-Brady era.
Mm-hmm.
I just simply don't think that they're going to do anything.
Keeping out of controversy? Are you sure?
Keeping the not being the center of controversy without like Deflategate is kind of was a league, and Spygate was sort of that wasn't a player.
They were both started by other organizations, though.
Yeah,
definitely. They just got caught.
It wasn't like this grandiose. It wasn't Richard Sherman, you know, being I'm the sorry excuse of a receiver. Yeah. It was. It's not a player making a statement, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay, let's stop. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I give credit to the Patriots in that regard. They never give any other team billboard material whatsoever, and I think that's a huge reason why they're so good, because when you're playing the Patriots, you know they're good, but you don't have to, you don't ever get that extra edge because the Patriots are saying you guys are sorry, you know, like you said, you're sorry to see.
We're going to be the head coach for 16 years. Or for you know exactly what you're gonna get with dry and cut. Bill Belichick. Don't say stupid shit to the media like our compadres over there, the Steelers. You just gotta be us.
Yeah.
And you win. So
okay, let's stop talking fantasy. Let's talk reality. Let's get to our game picks. Who are we picking? Let's start with Adam because I have a feeling he's going in the opposite direction, and I might have to mute myself.
No, all I'm saying is. This going to be the second time that I've root against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. The first time being against my Eagles. Every other team, I've had money down on the Patriots. I've liked the Patriots. This year, I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons. I think I'm going 34-30 for the Falcons. The one thing I like about the Falcons is their offense. I think their offense is going to be able to get some big plays. I think they're going to need some big offensive plays to win this game, like 50 plus, maybe 70, you know, something big. When it comes down to defensively, I think they're going to be the Falcons defense is going to be bend, not break. The Patriots are going to be very good. I think the Falcons are going to need a turnover here and there. But at the end of the day, I'm going with the 31-year-old first-time Super Bowl QB, Matt Ryan, to get it done, and he also is going to be my MVP. 34-30, Falcons.
Interesting.
Matthew Ryan, MVP.
Matthew Ryan.
31, I told you then. I did my stats, Wikipedia stats, man.
This is
Mr. Wiki. That would be the first time since 1990 in the 90s that the MVP, the NFL MVP and the Super Bowl MVP were the same person, I believe.
Yeah, did Kurt Warner win MVP that year in 90?
Yes, it is. I think it would be the first time since Kurt Warner did it.
Yeah, 99.
Hey, anything is possible with Kevin Garnett, right?
Yeah, pretty much. This is a very difficult pick for me. New England's currently favored by 3 points, so not many people are saying this is going to be a blowout for sure. There are certain key matchups I like about both teams. Both offenses are great. One's 33.8 points average per game, which is absolutely fantastic, and the other's got Tom freaking Brady in it, so what else are you going to expect? One defense is a lot better than the other, but still, I think there's good things about both teams that can make this a really explosive game and a lot of fun to watch. I just flipped a coin to see who I was going to pick because it was so freaking close. So with that in mind, I'm going to pick the Atlanta Falcons 35-31. I got to be just – I'm so close. If New England wins, obviously I know why. I'm not going to be surprised if New England wins. However, I see this team in Matt Ryan. I see an organization that obviously wants the freaking win. Arthur Blank turned in like every single member of the organization to go to this game because he wants a championship. Matt Ryan, he's been pursued as all these years to be a non-elite quarterback, kind of in the same boat as Joe Flacco, but I think more talented. And he has an opportunity to stop the critics against a team that has had his number. He's played this team twice, and the Patriots and the Steelers are the only 2 teams he's never beaten. So if he can get that monkey off his shoulder, it basically like what Steve Young did after having to back up somebody like Joe Montana for 7 years, you got to figure out what's going to be his game plan and his motivation. I think it's getting guys like Gabriel and Sanu a chance, along with Julio Jones having a big game. Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman, they're going to be huge. And I'm not exactly 100% safe on their defense. However, I think the offense is going to get done, maybe make one big turnover to stop it, and something key happens for them to win the game. So I'm going 35-31 Atlanta Falcons.
Well, with Mitch and I doing these reviews of previous games, it's made me think a lot about history. And this game has a lot of interesting historical connections. And this Falcons team reminds me a little bit of the early 90s Cowboys in the sense that this team nobody had a lot of faith in, but they have a little bit of swagger. They also remind me a little bit of the early 80s Dolphins, where Dan Marino came in and people were so excited about this Marino-Montana matchup, only to be disappointed. The thing about this is it is the legend versus, forgive the wrestling pun, possibly the legend killer. But I think with this, I just look at this all around. I think the Falcons offense is fantastic. I don't think that can be disputed. But I think that this defense is just too inexperienced. And I think that the Patriots have found ways to stop so many players over the years and have done some tremendously complex game plans that people have never thought of, have never figured out. It seems so simple, yet it seems so not. They just know how to win in these games. Yes, they lost a couple of times, but they're not worried. They have the experience. They have the legacy. I think they've worked so hard to get to this point that this is the Patriots moment, and it's going to be not a high-scoring game, but I do believe the Patriots will cover the spread. 23-15 will be the final score.
Interesting, lower scoring, Kev.
Yeah.
Chris Berman points too with the 50.
Yeah, 23-15.
Yeah.
So
yes,
for me,
in honor of Chris Berman as well, which is it will be his last broadcast.
So you guys know who I'm going with. Come on, like seriously, you're
picking the Buffalo Bills, man. Let's go.
We're actually asking this, but this is my reasoning behind it. And okay. Let's start off with when I always thought this Patriots team was going to be in the Super Bowl. I said they'd win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. I said that, right, Dylan? Confirmed?
Yes, confirmed, although that's not much of a hard prediction to make.
Okay, I'm just saying, all right? But when we played the Ravens and the Broncos and we won both those games, I said the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl. We're in the Super Bowl. The Patriots are the only team in the entire NFL this season that have a good offense with a great scheme and a good defense with a good scheme. Atlanta has a good offense, or great offense with a great scheme, but they have a bad defense against Tom Brady. Sometimes it's as simple as that. It's a team that is more well-balanced with the better coach. I don't really see – I think the Atlanta offense will have to play absolutely perfect. Their defense will have to get a couple of turnovers to win this game. I'm saying the Patriots win 34-24, and Thomas Edward Brady is the MVP.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to pick the MVP will be number 12, Tom Brady.
And I forgot to pick my MVP, so that's all three of us. Since it's got to be an Atlanta Falcon, I'm either going Matt Ryan or I'll go with Julio Jones. It's going to be one of those two guys.
All right, any final comments before we leave?
No, and I respect the pick, and I think Dylan and I are in the same boat where I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots win, obviously. I just think that I think if the game plays out how I think it will, I think Atlanta's going to win. For everyone betting, I think it's never a bad idea for MVP is to put $2 or whatever. I'm not saying gamble or whatever, do what you want, but there's a couple.
But gamble.
Yeah, there's a couple dark horses.
Not that you should gamble, but you should gamble.
Edelman's always a dark horse for MVP. I think he's at like 16-1, which that's pretty good odds. Obviously, the quarterback Brady's at 2. Matt Ryan's at 2.6-1. And then my sneaky pick, obviously it might not happen. Mohamed Sanu for MVP, 45-1.
See, I think they wouldn't give the award to a Mohamed Sanu. I think they would just give it to Ryan.
They're just going to be like, and that's why I was, well, to be fair, I was fearing that same thing last year when Manning was in this last Super Bowl. I'm like, Jesus freaking Christ, they better not give him the award. They gave it to Von Miller.
Oh, well, at least Von Miller is a big name.
Well,
I mean, like, Sanu, nobody knows who that guy is.
Actually, when Brady won the MVP against the Seahawks, I actually think you could have gave it to Edelman because Edelman was pivotal on that final drive, and his second half was unbelievable. And Brady's numbers weren't that great, and I was pissed because I had money on Edelman to win MVP.
That great. He threw 4 touchdowns against one of the greatest defenses of all time. Anyways, I think one sneaky pick. Why don't I just throw it out there? Malcolm Butler.
Yeah.
Anybody? Malcolm Butler?
Yeah, I don't know. Hey,
I'm just saying, Super Bowl 49 and game-winning interception. Maybe he's meant for the Super Bowl.
My sneaky pick will be LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a good pick. All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. It's been Mitch, Adam, Dylan, Kev. Hope you guys enjoy the Super Bowl, whatever you're doing. Have a great time. Be safe on Super Bowl night. Don't do anything too fucking crazy because we want you to tune in for the recap. Tune in for the recap. No matter what, I'll be here if the Patriots win. If the Patriots lose, if the Patriots win, I'll be very excited. If the Patriots lose, I'll probably be a little bit depressed. We'll see what happens. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Dylan has left us, and on that note, peace out.
Oh, I'm going to have a present for you either way.